Man lets go of his left hand. Use the balloon to block the security camera, then immediately lock the steel door. Move the stainless steel iron stool, pushing the mother's coffin under the vent. Take off the leather shoes on his feet, then carefully climbed into the coffin. Unscrew the rivets holding it in place. Finally remove the baffle of the vent, only to see a toy baby appear in front. Mike hurriedly took out the remote control and pressed it gently. The little toy began to walk slowly in his direction, then hurry back to the ground. Take off the black laces on the slippers. Wrap the laces around the rivets of the coffin lid, then forcefully turn outward. Suddenly, just then, the toy baby cried out. The janitor in the casket thought it was haunted. The two of them were so scared that they rushed to shoot their asses and leave, but the sound soon stopped and did not alarm the security guards. At this time, the man opened the coffin lid as expected, and the toy also came to the designated location, then began to pull out the rope inside with force, and the other end was tied to a corpse. Mike had hidden it in advance. Soon after 998 seconds he finally pulled the body out. Then he put him in his mother's coffin, then quickly closed the coffin lid. He brought the black slippers on the floor to reset the coffin rivets one by one. Finally moved the coffin back to the original location. Secure the vent flap, put on the suit and lace up the shoes. After all this, he wanted to sit only beg his mother to help him. At the last second when the security guard opened the door, the man opened the coffin of his mother, then put a dead man inside. When the security guards were about to arrive, the phone inside the coffin actually rang. At the last moment when the door was opened, the sound stopped. He watched the man lying on the coffin because he missed his mother. Security guards did not suspect much about this when Mike came out of the morgue, but he was so scared that he almost fell to the ground. It turns out that just last night, Mike, who was driving, was only looking at his phone. Suddenly a dog appeared in front of him. Mike reacted by steering wheel. It seemed that the dog's life was saved, but unexpectedly the next second, confused Mike was confused on the spot. He rushed out of the car to check, using the most primitive method to check each other. Found that the man was not breathing. He instantly became at a loss for words. Suddenly saw a police car in the distance. He hurriedly dragged the body to the garbage pile on the side. Luckily, the police car just turned a corner and left. Then he hid the body in the trunk and went to the funeral home, because his mother had died this morning. Suddenly a text message came from a colleague, saying that the superior prosecutor was coming over for a raid. Turns out Mike was a detective. He had been working among criminals for a long time. The organization was worried that he had committed corruption. At that moment, Mike thought there was a dead body in the car. If he mother, then he put the body in a coffin. It wasn't until the day of the burial that the stone fell from Mike's heart to replace the windshield. He directly hit the police car with a kick he ran over and killed. Mike then went about his mission in a very perfunctory manner, because he understood that the mission would come to nothing. Then he saw the dog that night, followed the dog all the way to the road, found this is the scene of the accident. The tire tracks on the ground were still obvious. Suddenly a traffic cop appeared. He said someone had reported an accident here the night before. Even the body hidden in the trunk are said clearly. Mike's brow furrowed as he listened. But what scared him even more was that there was a camera here. This man hit and killed a passerby last night. Due to the speed of the car, his too fast camera did not capture the license plate number. Mike was relieved. The next day Mike was trying to use his position to delete his car's file. Suddenly a phone call came in. The caller claimed to have seen the whole process of hitting someone. Mike panicked. Then he ran downstairs and found the person through the sound source on the phone. He began to chase him all the way. Finally the man returned to the police station. He turned out to be the captain of the narcotics squad. Then they met in the toilet. Mike questioned the other man's intentions. Sean told him to give him the body, otherwise he would report him. Mike realizes there must be a secret. At night, he dug up the grave and dragged out the dead man. He found a cell phone on his body. There were still unhealed gunshot wounds on the body. Mike realized he might have been planted. There were 2 missed calls on the phone. Then he asked his colleague to find out the location of the other party. Soon Mike arrived at the location. He hung the man high in the air. He threatened him to tell him the relationship between the victim and Sean. It turned out that the victim was a drug dealer. He and the drug captain Sean are in partnership. Sean wanted to monopolize the market through his position. That's why the man was brutally killed. And the black money earned by the two before cooperation are placed in the vault. But the key was stolen by the victim. Then Mike couldn't find the key on the body for half a day. Instead, he found a card in the victim's home to report directly. Then gave Mike a sum of money to let him go out of hiding. Suddenly Sean called. He told Mike to get out of the car and walk 20 steps forward. Jack, who was talking at one moment, was now dead in Sean's hands. Mike is completely devastated. He said he was going to turn himself in and report Sean, but Sean across the street doesn't panic, because he's in front of Mike's house right now. The next day Mike carried the body to Sean's car. With a detector on the body detected the key. Sean was satisfied and left, but the next second the car instantly exploded and fell into the river. It turns out that Mike hid the bomb in advance in the body of the dead. Finally Mike was dismissed from the police force. Now he can finally spend time with his wife and children. Suddenly he remembered the red card from the victim's home. Then he went to the address written on it. Little did he know that the card was the key to the vault. When he opened the steel door of the vault he was completely confused.